you look at the public or the popular understanding of the word yoga, whenever people hear the word yoga, they would be relating it to either to the pranayama or the physical postures. But however, Sutra, the second sutra of Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is how the word yoga is defined, which means that the cessation of the mental constructs.
But we have heard Patanjali's name also in the Vyakarana system, grammar.
Yes, so he is the same Patanjali based on the tradition. Okay. We agree that it is the same Maharshi Patanjali.
So he is a grammarian?
Of course, and also a yogin as well.
Hari Om. So, welcome to this small discussion on yoga. You can call it podcast, but yeah, in this discussion, just both of us, we will be talking about yoga. Welcome, my name is Narayan Shete. I am an assistant professor at Chinmay Vishwavidyapith, and very warm welcome to Karthik sir, who is also assistant professor at Chinmay Vishwavidyapith. He is a profound scholar of Vedanta and Nyaya Shastra, also great scholar of Yoga Shastra. So we will start with very basic and very general questions, which now the youth, and not only youth, all over the world, people are having some questions in their mind. Even I get some questions sometimes. So all those questions we will discuss in this podcast. So welcome, Hari Om sir.
Hari Om.
We'll try to be a little bit to come
have this conversation.
Yeah, conversation. So the first question I would like to ask you is that what really yoga means? Because people have very different ideas. Some say yoga, some say yoga. So what exactly is yoga?
So I think we may have to start from the basics itself, isn't it?
Yes.
So there are many nuanced aspects that we may need to discuss. Of course, you also know this as well because you are a trained practitioner of yoga and you yourself teach in our university. So I think what we have to tell to the public first of all is what is the definition that we give to the yoga based on the primary text, isn't it? So whenever there is a term, a Sanskrit term, and when it is a terminologized term in a domain, and when we are in a discussion to find the definition of that terminologized term, then the ideal thing to do would be to refer to the primary text itself, isn't it?
True.
So if this is the assumption that we all agree to, then the ideal thing would be to what does the Yoga Sutras say about the definition of yoga, isn't it? So as you also know that the sutra, the second sutra of Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is how the word yoga is defined. Even though if you look at the public or the popular understanding of the word yoga, whenever people hear the word yoga, they would be relating it to either to the pranayama or the physical postures, the Padmasana, Vrikshasana and all asanas. And some may even relate it to the meditation as well. So popularly they would refer to the asanas, some to the pranayama or some to the meditation. But anyway, this is the popular understanding of the word yoga. But however, when we use the word yoga as a shastra, it is a well-established philosophical system, and the pranayama, the yogasanas and the meditation is just only a part of the entire so sophisticated philosophical system. It's something that we have to keep in mind. So when we specifically look into the definition of the word yoga, it is defined as chitta vritti nirodha, which means that the cessation of the mental constructs. So the chitta refers to the mind, vritti refers to its fluctuations or its constructs, and nirodha refers to the cessation or the destruction of that construct. So if you look at the complete sense of that definition, yogas chitta vritti nirodha, then it would mean that yoga is the cessation of the mental constructs. So and all other topics that is dealt in this domain would be to achieve that goal, which would be to the complete cessation of the mental construct. Now, why it is we need to cessate the mental construct is a different question, but this is the definition that is given to yoga. And the other thing that I would like to mention would be, if you look at the yoga as a philosophical system, it is one of the 6 Astika philosophical systems. So we have Nastika darshanas and Astika darshanas. The word Astika refers to Astika darshanas. The word Astika darshanas refers to those philosophical systems which subscribe to the authority of the Veda. So we have Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Puramimamsa and Uttaramimamsa. These are the 6 philosophical systems which agree to the authority of the Veda. So Yoga Shastram is a philosophical system which agrees to the authority of Veda, which talks primarily about the cessation of the mental constructs, and they also proposes certain strategies, some methods to achieve this goal as well. So this would be the meaning of the word yoga, definition of the word yoga as a terminologized term, and also when it is used to refer to a philosophical system.
You started with this second sutra. You mentioned the second sutra of Yoga Sutra. So just one little bit clarity. What is this Yoga Sutra? And would you tell a little bit about the author of this Yoga Sutra? Because the definition, I hope it is clear what exactly the yoga means.
Yes. So Yoga Sutra is a very ancient text which is authored by Maharshi Patanjali. So if you look at our ancient scriptures,
I just sorry to interrupt you, but we have heard Patanjali's name also in the Vyakarana system, grammar.
Yes, so he is the same Patanjali based on the tradition. Okay. We agree that it is the same Maharshi Patanjali.
So he is a grammarian,
of course, and also a yogin as well.
And he is a yogi.
Yeah. So
we
have to when there are a lot of historical speculations regarding the identity of such authors, we have to, I think, when only an inductive conclusion is possible, we have to look at the tradition. So we agree that it is the same Patanjali, who is a grammarian, who is also a yogin as well. Even though there are many historical debates, there should be some historical debates, and
always there will be.
There always will. Yeah. Maharshi Patanjali is the author of Yoga Sutras, which is divided into 4 padas. So there are 4 chapters in Yoga Sutras.
Okay.
Samadhi Padaha.
Chapter is Pada.
4 chapters. There are 4 chapters, and this chapter is referred to as Padaha. So the word Padaha is used to refer to the chapters of this sutra, and there are, I think, nearly 200 sutras in this entire text. Yes, so and there is a bhashya which is authored by Vyasa to this sutras, and by tradition it is the same Vyasa, we should say.
Okay, so Maharshi Vyasa,
yes.
The one who wrote Mahabharata,
Brahma Sutras, yeah,
Brahma Sutra. Yes. Okay. Maharshi Vyasa, who wrote Mahabharata, wrote Puranas, also wrote commentary
to the sutras, which is authored by
Maharshi Patanjali. So now the one little bit more I will ask about this sutras. You constantly mentioning this or using this word sutra. What exactly this sutra means? Little bit idea can you give?
So even though we have definitions of we have very statements in our scriptures which very specifically defines what is a sutra. Alpaksharam asandigdham saravad vishvato mukham astobham anavadyancha sutram sutra vido viduhu. So if I don't want to get into the nuanced explanation of this statement, I would only define it in a very abstract way in this way. That sutra is very concise statements which talks about multifaceted and deep concepts in a very advanced way, but in a very concise way. It is concise, but at the same time there is possible for a lot of scope of explanation when it comes to deeper understanding. When we have to apply a lot of hermeneutic tools, then we would be very fascinated to understand that this concise statement would have such a vast meaning. If you look at the Brahma, for example, if you look at the other sutras as well, Brahma Sutras and Mimamsa Sutras and all, the sutras would be so confined. But if you look at the Bhashya, its commentary, Vartika, and other scriptures which are authored upon this, the meaning is so deep. So, in a very concise form, if I have to define the sutra itself is a very concise but multifaceted but very depth in depth meaning that it has. So that kind of statement is called sutra.
Kind of formula type of like,
yeah,
very short.
You may, if you choose to substitute it with that word, you may use that.
Okay.
But it's highly encoded. There are a lot of meaning which is encoded to a single sutra.
Okay, so now the topic what we started with, at what is yoga. You very beautifully explained what is the meaning of yoga, and the popular meaning also you mentioned. But now I would like to ask you about the misconceptions or the misunderstandings about yoga. Because generally people, whenever the yoga, someone says yoga, immediately this posture comes, like someone is sitting and doing some breathing exercises. But as you discussed so far, whatever you have elaborated, people must have come to know that yoga is not only that much. In fact, you just started with keeping it very at the very beginning aside. Okay, that is the popular and the one part of the meaning of yoga. So there is a lot of other yoga. So what are the popular understandings about yoga, and what are the misunderstandings that you think are existing?
So of course the popular understanding would be that it is highly beneficial. It is highly beneficial to the body, and usually people would define yoga, or they substitute the word physical postures to define what is a yoga. They might not even use the word yogasanas, isn't it? They might be doing yogasanas, but they won't be using that word, but they would be using the word yoga. Anyway, so physical postures which are beneficial to the body, this is a popular understanding of the yoga. However, it also implies that there are some misunderstanding as well. So I will try to connect it with the earlier question as well. So see, we had defined what is yoga, and there is a related to that itself, there is a linguistical understanding that you have to have when it comes to the word yoga. See, when you use the word yoga, what you are actually referring to is yogasanas. So as we had discussed earlier, yoga is what is chitta vritti nirodha, which means that the cessation of the mental constructs. And there are many strategies that is also proposed in Yoga Shastra as well. And one of the popular strategy would be the Ashtangas, isn't it? You are also very well acquainted with this. Yamaniyamasana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhaya. These are the 8 limbs of yoga.
Okay, so Ashtanga means 8
limbs.
8 limbs.
Yeah, 8 limbs. 8 preparatory steps that in sequence would lead you to the samadhi. This is the understanding.
What is samadhi? Is this the goal of yoga, or the cessation of the constraints of mind is the goal of yoga?
It is one of the outcome, but it is not the last outcome. It is not the final outcome.
Which one?
So if you ask this question, that what is the final outcome of any philosophical system, the answer is the same, which would be the moksha, which would be the kaivalyam, if you want to use any other word, which we usually translate or substitute by the word liberation, isn't it?
Salvation, liberation.
Salvation or liberation. So kaivalyam or moksha is the final outcome which is accepted across all the domains. I hope you also would agree with this.
Yeah, just for the clarity.
Yes, true. So I'm asking, since you also have a lot of, you are also acquainted with many of the philosophical texts, you would agree with me that statement.
True.
So even though we can make a statement that yoga is for the mental health, or if it is for the physical health as well, we have to look at the scriptural references. What does the scripture say about the final outcome of the yoga? Of course, it would be the moksha itself. But however, the popular understanding of the moksha that most of the people they have is that they have to go to certain other lokas or other world to reach the moksha, where they will get many materials so that they would be happy. But well, that is not the understanding in Yoga Shastra or even in Vedanta Shastra as well. So yoga proposes that there is such a state of moksha or liberation, and what is that state? That is a state where you remain in your true nature. Okay. So the word used is swarupa pratishtha or swarupe avasthanam, being in your own nature. This is the definition of kaivalyam is given in the last sutra of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So as the same logic that I had said, whenever there is a doubt, you go for the primary sources to understand the definition of the terminologized word. So kaivalyam is a terminologized word. You don't have the license to define it in whatever way that you wish to. So if you look at the Yoga Sutras, in the last Yoga Sutra, it is defined as the Swarupa Pratishtha Chiti Shakti. So, well, Yoga Sutra says that you are of the nature of consciousness, but you do not realize it, but you attach your own self with the mind, because of which you superimpose certain attributes of the mind in yourself, because of which you are not in your true nature. And if you remain in your true nature, then that itself is the moksha. That is what is meant by Swarupa Pratishtha or Swarupe Avasthan. So this is the moksha or kaivalya. And to achieve this state of moksha, so what I am literally saying is that you don't need to go to any other world to achieve the moksha.
Here itself we can manage.
And this also Vedanta Shastra also in agreement. I mean, Advaita Vedanta Shastra is also in agreement with this position of Yoga Shastra.
I have one question for that, but before that, what it has to do with means how it is. You mentioned you gave a little bit clarity, but I want a little bit more. What this chitta vritti nirodha, the cessation of the restraints of mind, has to do with the final goal of yoga, that is kaivalya.
Yes.
Like being in one's own true nature. How it is related?
So if you look at the scriptures, when I say scriptures, I specifically mean Yoga Sutras. It's commentary of Vyasa Bhashya. Tattva Visharada, it's another commentary authored by Vachaspati Mishra.
Okay.
If you look, and there are many other commentaries. There is Yoga Sudhakara Vritti, there is Bhoja Vritti, many commentaries for that we can refer to understand these concepts. So how the sequential steps are being proposed by the Yoga Shastra, it is this what the Yoga Shastra proposes. So you have to perform the Ashtanga Yoga. That will lead to the Samadhi. And I would say, clarify this, that the word Samadhi can be used as another synonym for the word Yoga.
Chitta vritti nirodha.
Yeah, so the yoga is defined as Chitta vritti nirodha, and another synonym for the word yoga is Samadhi. So Samadhi is equal to yoga.
Is equal to Chitta
vritti. Is defined as Chitta vritti nirodha.
Okay. So yoga is equal to Samadhi is equal to Chitta vritti nirodha.
And this Samadhi is again divided into two. Okay. Samprajnata Samadhi and Asamprajnata Samadhi. Technical word that if I need to define it in this context.
Okay.
But at least,
one of these two is Chitta vritti nirodha.
Actually, no. Chitta vritti nirodha is in both.
Okay.
But in Samprajnata Samadhi, the Sattva vritti remains. So we know the framework of Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna. And everything composed of these three qualities, of three gunas. So in Samprajnata Samadhi, what happens is that when you perform the Ashtanga Yogas, the Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna, or the Rajo vritti and Tamo vritti would be cessated or destroyed absolutely, but the Sattva vritti would remain. And when you destroy the Sattva vritti as well, then you reach the Asamprajnata Samadhi. This is the sequence. So Ashtanga Yoga, Samprajnata Samadhi, then the Asamprajnata Samadhi, then the moksha happens. So this is how the framework is, as I said before. Whether you agree it or not, or whether you can experience it or not, this is what the Rishi says. So this is what the Rishi Parampara says, that you are in the nature of consciousness, but you attach your identity with the mind, because of which you superimpose certain attributes of the mind. So what you have to do, you have to cessate the mental constructions the mental fluctuations so that the mind itself would be destroyed. And how that destruction of the mind would happen by the asamprajnata samadhi. Then you will achieve a state of moksha is what the Yoga Shastra proposes.
Now very common man's question I will ask. Why should I do this?
No, why? What is the relation between the yoga asana and this? Would be another question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, suppose I want to do yoga. I have back pain.
People had completely a different understanding of yoga. Yoga only meant the asanas. Now it's certainly went to another level, I think.
So, yes, if I have back pain, should I work on that or I should work on the mind? That is my very, very common man's question. This is what they will start with.
True.
Even I started yoga with back pain. I have some back pain. I have to do some exercise. So instead of doing something, I will do some yoga because it gives good result. But it never came in my mind. Not even anyone told me that, Narayan, you are doing yoga, so you should work on your mind. What will you give the answer for this type of question? Like, I am struggling with my day-to-day life problems. Instead of dealing with them, the Yoga Shastra is telling me, or the actual yoga is saying that work on your mind.
So see, as Kalidasa had said, Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. What Kalidasa proposes is that, see, if you have to do your basic dharma, then what is it that you have to secure first? It's your own body. But that logic also applies to mind. Because body is healthy, but what if mind is not? Is the question.
Okay.
So, now that logic is not just only for the dharma, but your basic actions that you have to do daily, isn't it? So, assume that if you are a person who even is not capable to manage your daily actions, not even the dharma, what is the scope or hope for moksha? So, bhoga is also important in the moksha marga, and you have to channelize it with the concepts of vairagya and all. So, of course, Yoga Shastra does not just presents itself with the upayas or the courses that we need to secure not just the body but also the mind. So, there are many sutras that deals with the nature of the mind, the constructs of the mind, how to control the fluctuations of the mind as well. So basically, if you look at Yoga Sutras, if you look at the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you would be amazed that there are the amount of sutras which deals with the asanas and pranayama are very less. I think there are only 2 sutras.
Yeah.
If you remember. I think there are only 2 sutras which deal with yoga asanas.
Sure, it just tells what is asana and just moves on.
I think there are only 2 or 3 sutras which deal with pranayama.
True.
And all the other sutras other than this deal with some kind of concepts which are related to mind. Well, there are some sutras in the Vibhuti Pada that might deviate from it, but still it is somehow connected to the mind itself, isn't it?
The funny thing happened to
this observation itself would clarify that how the mind is very important in this Shastra. And you would also agree with me that even in our university, the PPS school, there is a lot of research going on in the school as well. They have come up with many research works, and even they are encouraging students to do for the integration of psychology with this kind of concept.
I have to come to that, but this very funny thing happened. I practiced yoga for a lot of time. Practiced yoga means I practiced asanas. Pranayama also I practiced little bit less, but after having practiced yoga very well, asanas, after having learned little bit Sanskrit, Vedanta, I thought of opening now Yoga Sutras. Let me see what exact Yoga Sutras are. So just to see, what was my idea? I will see a lot of written about asanas and pranayamas, and that's what I will find as soon as I will open book. And I opened and there was nothing. I was searching, sutra after sutra, and nothing was coming about Padmasana or Siddhasana.
For that you may have to refer to the Hatha Yoga.
So later I came to know, oh no, that just the main importance is
given to the mind.
Given to the mind. And that is the real domain where we are supposed to work. Anyway, so I hope that clarity is the audience are getting.
So coming back to the question of misconception.
Uh-huh.
What I really wanted to end my point is at this. See, so whenever we are using the word yoga, we are using the word yoga to refer to the yogasanas, physical postures. The ideal word that you had to use was yogasanas, not yoga. But that is okay to me. I think what we have to understand is that, see, it is what you have to understand. I'm not suggesting or I'm not proposing not to use the word yoga to refer to the physical postures. You use it, but with an understanding. Now, this understanding should be there that when you use the word yoga in its primary sense, it refers to the chittavritti nirodha. In its secondary sense, it might mean the yogasanas as well. This is an understanding that people should have at least. So this is what I propose. One of the misconceptions that because we need to respect the linguistical history of a word or the linguistical derivation of a word.
So even
the definitions given to the word.
Even this, they call it yoga rather than yoga.
Yeah.
So that is also.
Yeah, that is. See, language evolves, and other speakers of other language also have to use this word, and there will be some changes to the Sanskrit root and Sanskrit words, isn't it? But we are not in a position to impose anyone.
But there should be understanding behind it. Let it be called yoga.
Yes.
Yoga.
So whenever you use the word yoga, at least you should know that you are using the word yoga in a secondary sense to refer to the yogasanas. That is all that I'm asking for. When people are initiated to do the yogasanas, the physical postures, usually they find themselves in a position where they think that whatever happens, I really need to do this physical posture. Whatever happens, even there would be some very complex yogasanas that the instructor might be doing, or some people might watch your videos on YouTube. I think there are many videos where
they get fascinated,
and they will be trying to imitate the complex asanas that you will be doing, isn't it? Like Narayan is doing this, so I also need to imitate this. But I think this is a little dangerous thing as well. Because what people think is that they have the eligibility to do all the asanas that is proposed by the Yoga Shastra, whereas it is not actually. You yourself know that what Patanjali says, sthira sukham asanam, isn't it? So if you are performing a physical posture, that will be an asanam only if you are comfortable in that position and also you are stable. Sthira sukham asanam, stable as well as sukham. You also need to have a total convenience. There should not be much difficulty in that posture when you remain in that posture. If you are not able to be stable in that position, and if you are not convenient, if your body is not allowing you to remain in that position, then you are not an eligible person to do that asana. If you look at the commentary of that sutra in Bhoja Vritti, or even in Yoga Sudhakara Vritti, or even in Tattva Isharadi of Vachaspati Mishra, everyone has a common agreement on this. If your body is not allowing to do this physical posture, you should not do it. So I think they should have this discretion. Whoever who practices yoga should use their own discretion with the input of their instructors, whether to identify whether he or she is eligible to do this yogasana would be one thing that we have to address.
This I don't know whether these yoga practitioners, they are aware of this or not. There are only 84 asanas which were given by Bhagavan Shiva, and among those 84, only 4 asanas are the most important asanas, or that is the you can say that is the goal of practicing asanas. Like what do you achieve by practicing different asanas? Vrishchikasana, Tadasana, Tiryak Tadasana, this asana, that asana. That I should be able to do these 4 asanas. These are Siddhasana, Padmasana, Simhasana, Bhadrasana. All 4 of these asanas are sitting postures. Like one of the posture I am sitting now in. So this is the common, the main idea in these 4 asanas. You are sitting, back is straight, neck is straight, head is straight. Simhasana will be, Bhadrasana will be and Simhasana will be little bit different. But Padmasana and Siddhasana, among these 4, again Siddhasana is the final asana in which any yogi should be able to sit. Now this asana is sitting posture. And why should
Sukhasana?
Yeah, Sukhasana means you feel that happiness, joy. And Sukhasana is also, means you can begin with Sukhasana. And finally,
people are even find it difficult to sit in Sukhasana as well.
that I
If you look at the current youth, they even find it difficult to sit in Sukhasana. So
that is,
instead of focusing on complex asanas, I would say that they should focus on at least in the Sukhasana as well. What do you say?
no. In fact, I used to make my students to sit for half an hour straight. You just sit straight and just keep your back straight. And the kids in 6th and 7th grade, they are not able to sit straight, just keeping their back straight. So this is doing a lot of gym, not against gym, but doing a lot of gym, lot of other exercises. And even if you follow, like you see Narayan sir is doing this danda, that danda, or this asana. If you are not able to sit, keeping your back straight for half an hour, then there is no point in doing
focusing on complex asanas.
too many asanas or something.
So I think I need to ask this question. So we should hope that there are viewers who may want to initiate, those who have not initiated to the doing yoga asanas even now. So for them, how would you suggest? What would you suggest to them that how they should start doing the yoga asanas? With of course there is a need of a guru, an instructor. But how do you suggest that? How do they initiate doing yoga asanas, basic pranayamas and all?
So the basic idea behind this is this, where the person should be able to sit comfortably for as long as possible. Like we can start with 10 minutes. People are not able to sit in the Sukhasana itself. Sukhasana is the very basic posture where we cross leg posture. Little bit different, but yeah, that is the posture.
So basically, they should make sure that they can sit without chairs as well in the floor, isn't it?
Yes. This chair you can take.
That is the first preparatory step that they need to ensure.
Yes. From the childhood itself. And the very basic thing, stop sitting like this. You just sit straight. This is the very initial practice of yoga. Not very complicated asanas, and there is no need also. There might be masters, they are doing very, very different postures
like you.
But that is not the prayojana. No one is going to sit for dhyana or to control his mind in Vrishchikasana. No one will sit. And that is not the posture. That Vrishchikasana or any other asana, which is very complicated, is to make you sit comfortably in these 4 asanas. Specifically Sukhasana or Siddhasana. That is the goal. So start sitting straight, keep your neck head straight and sit as long as possible. Try to avoid all other objects, like you can read, but that is the basic practice with which you can start. And this is not directly instructed anywhere in the Hatha Yoga or Hatha Yoga Pradipika or any other Samhita. However, the practitioner of yoga, they should start jogging. Minimum 2 to 3 kilometers they should run. That is the very beginning, and everyone must start. Very slow speed, but that way it will help you. That will be the very best beginning for practice of asana. And pranayama, you may find some videos on YouTube, or you can refer to any books published by authentic publications. Like we can refer to the book published by Bihar School of Yoga. Then there are multiple books, or any other book you can refer, or our assistant professor Dr. Jay Krishna Acharya is also a very profound scholar, and he is a practitioner of yoga. I learned from him. That book can be referred, or any other book can be referred. The basic pranayamas are like Bhastrika, where you just inhale and exhale completely. Then Nadi Shodhana is very basic pranayama, where you inhale from one nostril, exhale from another nostril, and continue that for longer time. These are basic initial pranayamas too.
But one thing that I would say, or where you need to throw some light, would be this. So people are expecting the kind of result from yoga that they would get by doing gymnasium or doing some very complex activities, other acrobatics and all. and they expect that now yoga is not giving such outcomes, so why should we do the yoga as something? I think people have this misconception by comparing with the outcomes of the other physical practices or activities. What would be your answer to that?
See, if that is the goal, then yoga is not made for that. Means person, I cannot expect like I am going to gym and I want a lot of flexibility. That is absolutely opposite. If you come to yoga, you cannot expect a lot of muscles and doing flexing something like that. That is not the goal of yoga, or that is not the result.
So don't approach yoga with the intent to achieve such an outcome.
Yeah, someone can approach yoga asanas for flexibility and the physical health benefits. Like I have some back pain, can be solved, or I have some digestion problem, headache, or multiple diseases are there which can be cured by yoga asanas, by pranayamas, as per the references of scriptures. Like Hatha Yoga tells that this is very helpful for this particular disease or this particular health benefits, etc. But apart from that, like building muscles, etc., that is not, this yoga is not the thing which will give you that goal. That is true.
So see, even if that is the case, I think people find it very difficult to find a schedule to perform the yoga. You know, so life is so hectic and people are so busy, and the schedule is so tight, and people find itself very difficult to find yoga. So if you need to give some practical suggestions to them so that they can, you know, at least 5 to 10 minutes for students, or assume that we are addressing the youth. So as to the youth, what would you suggest? You know, the kind of schedule that they can make.
I have no time is the biggest lie. Even if I say no, I really don't have time for asana or yoga asana. This is big lie even I am giving you. It is impossible to find out 10 to 15 minutes. Even 10 to 15 minutes are enough to do basic yoga postures. And there are many times I have told my students and even some of the friends, they will ask generally people are suffering from back pains, migraine. Basically nowadays back pain is a lot. So what are the asanas? We are not able to find out time, etc. Don't find separate time. Just give 15 to 20 minutes on bed itself in the morning as soon as you wake up. You wake up, you are still on the bed. Of course, you can avoid the bed. You can, the plain surface should be there. There itself, or you are too lazy to avoid even that. That is also fine. Be there. And there are few asanas like Bhujangasana. You should do. Then Janu Shirshasana. There is another. I am taking a name after one or the other names in Sanskrit, but you can refer to Google or something.
Yeah, basically no one can do yoga but just listening to our podcast, but we can at least guide them, isn't it?
Yeah.
By
So these postures, even sitting on the bed, before getting out of that, we can do 10 to 15 minutes. And as soon as you wake up, all these asanas are stretching asanas. You stretch your body, you free it. Whole night we are lying, no movements. Now the first thing what we are supposed to do is free it. You just loosen it. And that can be achieved while lying on the bed itself. There are few asanas, sitting, sleeping postures like cobra postures, that is Bhujangasana, Janu Shirshasana, when you touch your head to your, then as much you can do, that much, that Paschimottanasana you can do. That much you do, 2-3 times you do. It will not take more than 5 to 6 minutes. Then you get up, do forward bending, backward bending, Tiryak Tadasana, what we call. Only that much you do. Do some waist rotations like Kati Chakrasana, Kati Brahmanasana. These asanas you do, your body becomes free, flexible. Even like I'll tell the my experience, own experience. Like I was lying for 9 months. 9 months I was prohibited from doing any physical exercises. And still after 9 months, when I started, I didn't lose my...
Because of some reason.
Basic. Because of issues, I could not. But even after that break of 9 months, my body was flexible. It's not that you lose flexibility immediately. You stop doing yoga, so now you cannot do it at all. Nothing like that. Even if you take the break of 2 months or 3 months, you have not done any exercise, but if you keep on doing these 2-3 asanas, very basic, we can regain that flexibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but of course, they should make sure that when they do the complex asanas, they should make sure that they are eligible to do that as well.
And do not do any asana, any pranayama.
Don't imitate Narayan.
No, don't imitate anyone. Just, and everything should be done under the guidance. There should be guru, teacher, coach, or whatever you want to call. But without the guidance, one must not try to do asanas or pranayama. It is a bit risky to do without guidance. Yeah. How can we, as a youth of Bharat, retain the authenticity of this yoga?
It all starts with taking the pride in the system that we have, and acknowledging certain facts would be enough to keep the authenticity. What I mean is this. See, we have to agree that it is a Rishi, it is something that we got from the Rishi Parampara. That is something that you should acknowledge. And you should treat Yoga Shastra not just as any physical postures or just for the pranayama, but as a very, you should approach it as a comprehensive philosophical system. You have to make attempts to understand the metaphysics of it. And beyond, what are the areas that this Shastra objectifies other than the yogasanas and pranayama would be an attempt to make. So even in the yoga day as well, when you would make some small attempts to initiate certain asanas, in parallel to that, I would suggest that you also have to make attempt to find time to refer to our primary texts as well. Have some micro communications or some kind of scheduling to understand the primary texts as well. There are a lot of translatory works available to understand the primary sources. So that is an attempt that I would suggest. And one thing that I would like to point out as well would be this, that see, we should acknowledge that we are living in such a world which is highly collaborative in nature, isn't it? The collaboration between individuals, communities, countries, communities is very immense. And on that note, we are in such a situation where we may have to package the Yoga Shastra or the concepts of Yoga Shastra, especially the yogasanas, pranayama, and to present it as if it has universal benefits. My point is that, of course, Yoga Shastra is something which is a part of our Vedic civilization. But assume that if individuals from or the communities from other faith system have to take the benefits of the Yoga Shastra, we would be in a position that we should present some universal benefits so that they also can consume it, isn't it? But we cannot hope or we cannot ask the other individual to to compromise their identity just to take benefits from the Yoga Shastra. I think that is not a practical situation in which we are in, and we should never ask that. That's not our civilizational history. But of course, I agree that we may have to present the Yoga Shastra with its universal benefits, and for that purpose, we may have to secularize certain aspects of Yoga Shastra, which I agree. Because when I use the word secularization, I mean that certain elements may have to be presented by detaching it with its religious aspects, if you want to use the word religion to refer to the Sanatana Dharma or our civilization. But you should be careful when you're doing it as well. There should be a perfect balancing between the secularization of certain Yoga Shastra and its intrinsic identity. You should not compromise the identity of this domain, and you should not compromise your own identity just for the sake of secularizing it so that the other people can consume its universal benefits. For example, what I mean is that Yoga Shastra is a system which subscribes to the authority of Veda. It's not something that you cannot compromise. So it is an Astika philosophical system. It is a system which has been passed on by the rishis. That is something that you have to accept. And of course, it has everything to do with religion. Of course, if you want to call Sanatana Dharma as a religion, of course, it has something to do with religion. And these are something that we should not compromise just in the name of secularization. That would be my last point.
Yeah, and that is absolutely impossible to retain the authenticity if we do not refer to the original scriptures. If I do yoga or yoga asana, suppose, and I don't refer to Hatha Yoga Pradipika, or I don't refer to any other Hatha Yoga text, then no matter how beautifully or how different postures I am doing, but I am not referring the original text, there is no point. We cannot retain the authenticity. Where did I learn this? I learned on YouTube, or I learned on this particular book, which is not written by the authentic person from the parampara. It's not one day people came together and sat in the university and let's make the course outline on Yoga Shastra. So we must refer to the original scriptures. That is one of the point. And we have to have this thought of having pride in our traditions, because this is, we can secularize, we can give it with very open-heartedly to the whole world.
Compromise the fact that it is an intrinsic part of our civilization.
Yeah, we must not.
Everyone is ready to consume its universal benefits.
Yes, and it's open. Like you come, you have benefits, but we should not we should have the acknowledgement. We should have the kritadnyata towards this Rishi Parampara. And as particularly you mentioned about this philosophy is Astika philosophy, Vedic. The authority of Veda is taken by this philosophy. So that we must not forget. And this is Sanatana Parampara. So if there is no Veda or there is no Vedika Parampara, there is no Sanatana. So let it be Yoga Shastra, open for everyone from all around the world.
True.
But let's not cut it from the Vedic Sanatana Parampara. That is the main thing. And I think with this we can conclude today's podcast.
I think we had a very wonderful conversation.
Yeah, and we do expect all the youth on this page, whoever is following and whoever is not following, even if you share with them, to watch it and to really get connected with our roots of yoga which is coming from the Sanatana Parampara. So hope this discussion was beneficiary for all the youths.
Thank you.
Hari Om.